A fan-edited video might be the only thing keeping Lil Durk behind bars, but that's just the beginning of a tangled, high-stakes saga that's unfolding both inside the courtroom and on the streets. It sounds wild, but one of the most high-profile legal battles in hip-hop today is resting on evidence pulled not from police investigations or surveillance footage, but from fan-made YouTube edits. Yes, you heard that right. According to Durk's legal team, prosecutors used a remix that included a news clip, spliced into a song Durk recorded 7 months before the incident in question. The entire premise of his indictment might just be based on a lie. That fan-edited video, paired with lyrics recorded long before the alleged hit, formed the backbone of the state's argument. But the defense team wasn't having it. They filed a motion demanding a bail review, and the judge agreed. A new hearing is set for May 8th, and it could flip the case on its head. But as the legal team pokes holes in the prosecution's theory, Durk's world outside the courtroom is unraveling in ways no one expected. The same week the legal breakthrough was announced, social media erupted. A video surfaced showing Durk's longtime partner and baby mama, India Royale, at a party, looking a little too friendly with another man. Her hand was casually resting on his leg, and her smile was hard to ignore. Fans instantly flooded comment sections, dissecting every frame. Screenshots went viral, allegations flew. Did she really cheat? Was she just being friendly? One of her own friends leaked the footage, and that only added fuel to the fire. India responded cryptically, questioning how men went from laying concrete and changing tires to gossiping like teenage girls on the internet. She never addressed the incident directly, but the damage was done, and then 6ix9ine jumped in. Alongside DJ Academics, he dissected the situation live. 6ix9ine tried to defend India, claiming he'd never heard anything bad about her. But his tone shifted. If Durk got a life sentence, would she stay loyal? The room went quiet. Even Academics couldn't give a straight answer. This wasn't just tabloid fodder. It was a blow to Durk's image, one carefully crafted over years. In the public eye, he wasn't just a rapper anymore. He was a father, a partner, a man who rose from the streets and built a legacy. But suddenly, that image started to crack. Then, just as the internet buzzed over India Royale, a new headline broke. Durk had been attacked inside LA County Jail. The details were murky at first. An anonymous report leaked that Durk had been jumped inside his cell block early that morning. His injuries weren't disclosed, but insiders hinted he'd been targeted deliberately. Not just a random fight, this was personal. What made it even stranger? On the exact same day, Quando Rondo and Lil Tim released interviews, both publicly stating they wished things had gone differently with King Von. Rondo even said, if that night had played out another way, Von might still be alive. Fans didn't miss the timing. Why drop those interviews now? Why express regret on the very day Durk got attacked? Some believed it was a coincidence. Others, not so much. The theory was simple. These interviews were damage control, a distraction, a way to throw fans off the trail and shift the narrative before anyone started pointing fingers. But the chaos behind bars was only a small piece of what was coming next. Back on the outside, the feds made their move. In a massive gang sweep targeting the Rollins 60s, they arrested several high-profile affiliates, including Brick Baby. That name wasn't random. Brick Baby had once gone live, saying something that would come back to haunt both him and Durk. You can't say Durk didn't slide for Von. They got Lil Pab. At the time, it seemed like just another boast. But now, with Brick in custody, that one sentence was enough to launch a fresh conspiracy theory. Prosecutors reportedly believe Brick's comment could tie Durk to a retaliatory hit, potentially placing him at the center of a planned act of revenge. Lawyers close to the case say Brick Baby is being pressured hard. The feds want information. They're offering deals, and if Brick flips, it won't be because he wants to. It'll be because he's forced to. Yet as alarming as Brick's situation is, an even closer betrayal might be unfolding inside Durk's own circle. Jam, a name that used to mean loyalty, brotherhood. Trust.now might mean informant. According to sources, Jam has handed over more than 230 gigabytes of digital evidence to prosecutors. That includes hours of video footage, recorded calls, private conversations, and possibly texts and voice memos. And fans noticed something odd in one of his Instagram lives. He kept adjusting his jacket, fidgeting like he was wearing a wire. I believe Jam helped build the case that led to Durk being charged with 2 additional murder-for-hire plots. One targeting Stefan Mack, allegedly responsible for Durk's brother's death. The other? Jam's own baby mama, who died under suspicious circumstances after Durk reportedly discovered Jam was leaking information. Durk had seen it all coming. Months earlier, in a now chilling interview, he warned that betrayal often comes from the people closest to you. He admitted he kept even his best friends out of his home. Not out of arrogance, but survival. "I can tell if someone's going to cooperate in 5 seconds, he said. And it wasn't just talk, he lived it. And yet, with all of this crumbling around him, Durk might still walk free. Bradford Cohen, Kodak Black's attorney and a respected legal analyst, says the case isn't airtight. Far from it. "There's no slam dunk here," he said in an interview. "The evidence is circumstantial. Texts like, 'Don't associate my name with the flights,' that's not enough. What the feds need is a rat, someone to go on record, to testify, to place Durk at the center of it all, but so far, no one has flipped publicly. Brick Baby hasn't talked. Jam's footage remains sealed. And the biggest twist? The key piece of evidence that started it all, the fan mashup video, may not even be admissible. So where does that leave us? Durk's sitting in a cell, his name dragged through headlines, his closest friends either arrested or suspected of betrayal, his personal life in shambles. And yet, there's a path to freedom. The judge is watching, the prosecutors are scheming, the fans are waiting, and the clock is ticking. Because in this case, it's not about guilt or innocence, it's about pressure. Who folds first? Who flips? Who breaks? Because the moment one person does, it's over, or maybe, just maybe, Durk's silence wins. Stay tuned. What makes this case so fascinating isn't just the legal gymnastics, it's the symbolism. Lil Durk isn't just another rapper fighting charges. He represents a generation that came from nothing and climbed into the spotlight, dragging pain, trauma, and loyalty with them. Every win he earns in court is seen as a win for those who came up like he did. But that also means every loss hits harder. It's personal. Take India Royale, for example. She wasn't just Durk's partner, she was a brand. They built a public image together, curated over years. Their relationship was marketed as goals, the Bonnie and Clyde dynamic, the street king and the queen by his side. They had fans rooting for them like it was a Netflix show. So when the cheating rumors surfaced, it wasn't just gossip. It was the collapse of a narrative millions had bought into. And for Durk, timing couldn't have been worse. He was fighting for his freedom while the internet picked apart his personal life, meme by meme. But Durk knows how to play the media too. Just days after the India Royale video went viral, his team dropped a throwback clip of Durk giving motivational advice. If you can't buy 10 Maybachs, don't buy one. It was strategic, a reminder that Durk isn't just a figure in court, he's a cultural icon with discipline, humility, and a story bigger than the headlines. That clip went viral too, and some fans started to wonder, is Durk using his public image to sway the judge? After all, if prosecutors are using fan edits against him, why can't he use his real voice in his own defense? But courtrooms don't run on likes and retweets. They run on evidence. And that's where this case starts to twist even further. Remember Quando Rondo and Lil Tim? The timing of their remorseful interviews raised eyebrows, but their roles in this saga go deeper than fans realize. These are the same individuals tied to the death of King Von, Durk's close friend and collaborator. Von's death lit a fuse that many believe led to a chain of retaliations, each one bloodier than the last, and while those retaliations may not have left fingerprints, they did leave lyrics. Durk's bars have often walked the line between reality and rap, and now the feds are trying to blur that line completely, saying his lyrics are confessions, not art. That's a dangerous precedent, one that affects not just Durk, but every rapper in the game. The debate over whether lyrics should be admissible in court has exploded. Some argue that it's protected speech, just storytelling. Others say it's a roadmap to real-world violence. But the truth is, it might not matter, because the prosecutors have something more potent than lyrics. They have betrayal, or so they think. Let's go back to Jam. Durk trusted him, gave him money, brought him close. But that trust, as we now know, was misplaced. The digital footprint Jam provided is staggering. Terabytes of content that the feds are still reviewing. But Jam didn't just snitch. He did it in a way that felt theatrical. Posting lives, playing the part, smiling while handing over the tools to sink someone who once called him bro. Some fans believe Jam didn't flip out of fear, but out of envy. That he saw Durk living the life he wanted, and when the pressure came down, he used the moment to rewrite his own story, and that brings us to a bigger theme in the saga. Loyalty versus survival. Everyone claims to be real until they're staring down a life sentence. Everyone talks tough until the feds promise a deal. And in the world Durk comes from, being labeled a snitch is worse than being locked up. It means exile. It means erasure. So the question isn't just who's telling the truth, it's who can afford to tell it. Brick Baby, Jam, the entire Rollin 60s case. They're all dominoes, and the prosecutors are waiting for the first one to fall. Meanwhile, the internet is playing detective. Fans are poring through old interviews, decoding lyrics, connecting dots. They've pulled up old footage from Von's crew, King Von's manager, even Kanye's phone call to Durk from prison. Everyone's trying to figure out what's real and what's just good storytelling. But this isn't just a legal battle. It's a war of perception. Durk's been releasing clips, old footage, motivational messages, and behind-the-scenes moments that show him as calm, focused, and spiritual. In one call, Kanye even tells him to stay strong, saying that inmates listen to Durk's stories and hang on to his every word. That's influence. And prosecutors hate influence they can't control. So now they're digging even deeper into texts, into financials, even into seemingly unrelated cases involving Stefan Mack and Lil Pop. They're not just trying to prove Durk committed a crime, they're trying to prove he orchestrated chaos from the shadows. And to do that, they're throwing everything at the wall. Alleged payments, revenge motives, old beefs, even Instagram posts. One post Durk made 30 minutes after Stefan Mack's death is being analyzed for motive. He wrote, "For deed thing," a reference fans think could be tied to revenge. Even his facial expressions on live streams are being used against him. In one, he's seen laughing the day after the killing. Prosecutors think that's enough to suggest he was celebrating. Is it? Or are they just desperate to make something stick? Bradford Cohen says it best. Without a witness or confession, this case is a house of cards. And he's right, because fan videos, lyrics, and side-eye glance on IG Live aren't enough to put a man away for life. Not when the stakes are this high. Durk's next court date is looming. The media circus is growing, and the hunger from prosecutors is only getting worse. But here's the twist. If everyone stays silent, if no one flips, this case falls apart. Fast, and Durk walks. But if even one person, just one, decides they can't take the heat, it's over. So who breaks first? That's the question, keeping fans, lawyers, and enemies up at night, because once someone talks, everything changes. Lil Durk wasn't always a headline. Before the fame, before the deals, before the courtroom drama, he was just Durk Banks from Chicago. Raised in the chaos of Inglewood, Durk's story isn't about overnight success, it's about survival. Growing up surrounded by violence, poverty, and generational trauma, Durk turned to music not just as an escape, but as a warning, a confession, and a way to carve out a future where there seemed to be none. He built his empire, track by track, mixtape by mixtape, until Signed to the Streets put him on the national radar. But with each level of success, the weight got heavier. The expectations, the enemies, the eyes watching his every move. And those eyes weren't just from fans or rivals. Law enforcement started paying attention too. This isn't Durk's first run-in with the law. Over the years, he's faced weapons charges, been tied to shootings, and seen members of his team locked up or buried. But each time, he bounced back. Stronger, louder, bigger. That resilience earned him fans and skeptics. Some saw him as an inspiration, proof you could rise above your environment. Others saw him as a ticking time bomb, one lyric away from self-destruction. So when the feds came knocking this time, it wasn't just about this case. It was about everything he represents. To them, Durk isn't just a rapper, he's a symbol. And symbols have power. Power that scares people. That's why this case feels different. It's not just about punishing Durk for what they think he did. It's about making an example out of him, sending a message, silencing a movement, and yet, that might be the very thing that saves him, because the harder they push, the more people start questioning the motives behind this case. Why rely on a fan-made video? Why use lyrics written before the incident? Why leak stories to the press about personal drama if the evidence is so strong? It's almost as if they're hoping public opinion will convict him before a jury does. But Durk's fans aren't so easily swayed. They've watched him lose friends, survive beefs, bury family members, and keep going. They've memorized his bars, decoded his pain, and turned his songs into anthems for their own struggles. To them, Durk isn't a criminal, he's a prophet. And in the court of public opinion, that matters. Because even if prosecutors don't see it, the judge might, jurors might. And in a trial, this complicated, perception can be as powerful as proof. Which brings us to the biggest twist of all. What if Durk already won? Not legally, not yet, but strategically. What if every post, every clip, every moment of calm he shared during the storm isn't just personal growth, but public strategy? Think about it. He drops motivational clips at key moments. He stays silent when drama erupts. He releases music that speaks to healing, not revenge. Even his demeanor in interviews is measured, almost spiritual. This isn't the Durk we saw 5 years ago. This is a man who's evolved, who's thinking 10 steps ahead, who knows how the game is played, and maybe, just maybe, he knows exactly how to win it. If that's true, then the question isn't whether Durk walks free. It's whether he's the one playing everyone else. Because if the prosecutors fall for their own narrative, if they rely on shaky evidence and emotional appeals while Durk plays the long game, they lose. And Durk, against all odds, walks away not just free, but untouchable. A living legend. But make no mistake, the clock is still ticking. The May 8th hearing could be the turning point. A chance for Durk to step out of the shadow of allegations and reclaim control of his story. Until then, all we can do is watch and wait. Because in this game of power, betrayal, and perception, one move changes everything. May 8th isn't just a date on the court calendar. It's a cultural event. A pivotal moment where hip-hop meets the justice system, again. And this time, the stakes are higher than ever. If the judge rules in Durk's favor, It will mark the beginning of what could be a complete unraveling of the prosecution's case, a shift in momentum, a win for every artist who's ever been told that their lyrics are evidence, that their art is dangerous, that their pain is criminal. But if the hearing goes the other way, if the judge decides to keep Durk locked up, then the message is loud and clear. It doesn't matter how weak the evidence is, how shaky the case is, or how questionable the sources are. Once you're in the system, you don't get to walk away. That ruling will send a ripple through hip-hop. It will redefine how the industry approaches legal threats, lyrical expression, and even friendships. Rappers will look at their inner circles with more suspicion. Labels will rethink how they handle legal representation. And fans will realize that their favorites aren't invincible, because no matter how big the stage, how many chains you wear, or how many millions you've earned, one wrong cosign, one disloyal friend, one out-of-context lyric, and it could all disappear. Durk knows this. He's been living it. And whether you believe he's guilty, innocent, or somewhere in between, what's happening to him is a reflection of a much bigger issue, one that affects everyone with a voice, a past, and a platform. So as May 8th approaches, one thing is certain: this isn't just a trial, it's a test of loyalty, a test of justice, a test of whether a man can rise from his darkest hour with the world watching, waiting, judging. And when that verdict drops, whatever it is, there will be no going back. Because from that moment on, the story of Lil Durk will be written in ink, not just in court documents, but in history. So stay locked in, because the next chapter could change everything.